Hi everybody, thank you for your patience. We've been just showing the radar loop over the last little bit, and what you can really see from it is that we really are not seeing any rain right now. Most of that has moved off to our east. Over the last several hours or overnight, we were seeing some rain and even some freezing rain across areas in the coastal bend, especially up to our north. Right now, we are showing more so the Houston area, how they're getting more convective stuff and some stronger rain that's heading towards the Louisiana border. Now we do have some comments on here talking about how there was ice in Aransas Pass. Very cool. We were on the show today talking about how it's hard to verify freezing rain. So we appreciate any pictures that y'all send your way or anything that you could just do to verify the fact that there was freezing rain, because we did see a line of showers slash freezing rain move towards the coast, and so I was wondering if y'all actually did have ice there. Another question asking, did it freeze here in Corpus? Yes, it did. At the airport, it got to 32, I believe, around 1 a.m., 2 a.m. range, and it actually did hit 31 at the airport. Now, if you were closer to the coast, there's a potential that you were warmer, but even our coastal locations, including Flower Bluff and Port Aransas, were very close to freezing, if not freezing. Alrighty, we've got the last 24 hours, 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. We were sitting at 31 degrees at the airport. Very, very cold. The big thing though is that we've been seeing feels like temperatures in the 20s right now. Right, this is lows this morning. Someone asked, what about the island? We're at 33 in Flower Bluff for the low. Don't know if we have a temperature from...
Yeah, it would be Port Aransas or Flower Bluff is your best or your closest temperature reading for the island. So somewhere between 32 and 33 is a good estimate.
Let's take a look at our current temperatures right now to see if there's any locations that are still freezing. Like I said, the freezing rain, not a concern anymore. Models were showing that we would trend down in the rain as we went through, got to around 7 a.m. this morning, and it doesn't look like there's anything on the radar in our region right now. Here's the freezing line. That's the white highlighted area. You can see that it's barely including sections of the coastal bend right now. Mathis is at 33 degrees, Sinton at 34, Rockport at 33, Northern Beeville and Live Oak still included in that freezing, as well as Western Duval County are still freezing right now. We're sitting at 32. But if you look at those little blue numbers, that's the feels like temperatures. So hopefully nobody's had to go outside this morning, but it's very cold. We're seeing feels like temperatures that are around 10 degrees colder than where we are actually at, and that's thanks to that northerly wind that's at 15 miles per hour here in Corpus Christi. That wind will take the heat from your body, making it feel colder than it actually is. Now, as we are warming up, if there are any areas that we're seeing ice or a glaze at all from the freezing rain, as we begin to warm up and we get above freezing for a little bit, that's going to melt. And it's hard to say because we don't have a great knowledge of how much ice there is, how long it's going to take before it melts. But I would think by mid-morning it would all be gone, or at least in... I don't know, Carly, do you have
The ice?
Yeah.
I mean, once it gets above freezing, that allows for ice
To melt.
essentially.
Yeah.
So, if you've ever frozen water in your refrigerator, I think this is an extreme example, but that water, when you take it out, it doesn't just like instantly you have water, right? Ice does take a little while to melt. And the thinner the layer of ice is, the faster it's going to melt. And I think we have a pretty thin layer of ice, probably a glaze at most, with maybe some accumulation reported in the Beeville area. So if anyone has any reports from Beeville, there was a comment saying Aransas Pass had some ice accumulation. Some areas of Corpus Christi, we saw a shower pass through while our temperature was around 31 degrees. So kind of the area between SPAD and Shoreline, or Ocean Drive there on, I don't know the exact name of that part of Corpus Christi off the top of my head, but it's kind of in the area where you're approaching downtown, kind of between Weber and downtown. May have seen some freezing rain right around 3 or 5 a.m. I think is what we looked back at the radar on. Additionally, the ice will likely melt pretty fast, especially if the bridges were treated with brine. What brine does is it lowers the freezing rate of water. So best case scenario, the rain that we did see mixed with the brine kept everything good to go. Worst case scenario, there's some icy spots on our bridges. So that's pretty much all I've got on that note there.
Yeah, but regardless, it's cold outside. So if you are going to head out, make sure that you are bundling up and try to limit the amount of exposed skin that you have too because of those wind chills.
And it's only going to get colder. Not during the day. We're going to warm up. Are we still looking like 40s this afternoon?
Yeah, it's looking like 44 degrees is what I had for Corpus Christi. So low to mid 40s. I think it depends on how fast that cloud cover departs for us because we are expecting to clear that cloud cover out and see some sunny skies this afternoon. But even with temperatures in the 40s, those feels like temperatures are going to be in the 30s again because of that northerly wind. So cold throughout the day, no matter how you look at it. But like Carly said, tomorrow is going to be even colder than today. Tomorrow's the day that we're looking at a hard freeze criteria, 28 degrees for 4 hours. We're looking at temperatures below that and for longer than 4 hours.
I was gonna say, do you have that graphic to pull up?
Yeah. Let me find it. Got a couple of things. Tomorrow's lows. 1 second.
While Hope is looking for that graphic, I just want to add, when we were forecasting this, I think what was on the top of our mind was we want you to kind of be prepared for the worst case scenario, which would be everyone has a layer of ice. You could wake up with ice on your windshield. We knew going into tonight that the rain was mostly going to be scattered. There was going to be some mist in the area. Mist can become freezing rain as well.
Last night, not tonight.
Yeah. Last night, we knew there was going to be some mist in the area, and mist can leave a glaze of ice as well. Even though it's very fine, it can add up just enough to maybe cause some issues. But bridges were treated, and I think that's maybe something I kind of forgot to put into the puzzle piece as well, is that bridges, TxDOT did treat our bridges with the brine mixture, and the point of that is to lower the freezing point, so that helps prevent the bridges from freezing. And so anyway, I think overall we got down to freezing. That was kind of our worst case scenario. A lot of the model data didn't have us getting down below freezing.
Yeah, we went below freezing, just looking at trends throughout the day, keeping it 2 degrees below what our high-res model data was going, and that ended up playing out pretty well for what we actually saw here in Corpus Christi.
I think what didn't play out well was the amount of rain that we saw overnight.
Yeah.
We knew it was going to be pretty scattered, but it was probably more isolated than scattered.
I think that a lot of us saw probably mist, especially yesterday afternoon.
On the models.
And I think that in our future cast, that can look pretty widespread.
Yeah.
And then it's the debate of, is that light rain or is that mist / drizzle, which can be hard to decipher before the day of, really.
Yeah. It's tough. Winter precip is no joke because it can have big impacts with just a little bit. And so we always want you to be extra prepared for the worst case scenario. And now the worst case scenario is not
tomorrow
ice,
morning.
Not ice on the roads. Now, with that being said, I think neighborhoods, maybe if you have some puddles that are still out there throughout the day today, those puddles could potentially refreeze. I think many of us are going to get out and drive because our temperatures are going to get around 40. As far as Drive Texas is something I've been keeping an eye on. We'll maybe dive into some of the worst case situations that did play out, like San Antonio has a ton of ice. Anywhere you see that little green snowflake, or gray, not green, anywhere you see that little gray snowflake, that is where there is some sort, it doesn't mean it snowed there, but that means that there's some sort of ice and or snow on the road. San Antonio would be ice that is causing travel issues. And so you have all of those reports just north of the coastal bend through San Antonio, but it did get as far south as Victoria is reporting issues on their roadways, and then even in the metro area of Houston, it's nowhere near as bad as San Antonio, but they are getting ice reports there as well. And it's those sneaky ones, right? Everyone knows in San Antonio and everywhere north that it's going to be bad, but the sneaky ones, the fringe counties, that's where you can honestly run into some of your worst impacts because people think it is safe and then it's not, and you slide on a bridge and then you crash, and we don't want that to happen. So that's why we kind of went over alert for our freezing rain potential, because when you're fringe, it's very easy to think it's okay and then it's not.
Yeah.
And thankfully it looks like, based on everything here on Drive Texas, that everything, so you see all the little snowflakes up north, everything in the Corpus Christi area, there's no signs of anything being grayed out. There is an accident, or there has been an accident that was reported between Kingsville and Bishop. We don't know much more information about that. I'm kind of far away from the mic when I look that direction. So we don't know a whole lot of information about that accident other than it is being reported on Drive Texas. It is northbound, and one lane, the right lane, I believe, is closed. Not sure if that was weather related or not, but it was likely rain on the road. But again, our bridges could have froze if the bridge down there wasn't pre-treated. There's a chance there was some ice on it. As we zoom back out, I do want to look at some of the cameras in San Antonio just to show you like what's going on. So this is on the south side of San Antonio. You don't see it. Freezing rain is really hard to tell, and that's why we want to go over the top for freezing rain potential, because you get on the road, it looks wet, temperatures are below freezing, it's actually frozen, and then you can slip and slide. That car on the right looks like it's doing okay, but before you know it, if you change lanes quickly or jerk to react to something, it can quickly become dangerous in freezing rain conditions. As we get further into San Antonio, it looks like roads are wet and likely frozen. Cars are driving slowly. That camera is down. This looks like a nightmare, to be honest. I would not drive on any of these overpasses. You could tell that there's some ice that's in the center lanes. They might have had some sleet mixing in at times. There were some convective storms as well that could have had some sleet and maybe even some hail, depending on how you analyze the atmosphere.
Carly, real quick, we have a question of, do we have any ice in Corpus?
As far as we can tell,
No.
no. Maybe.
We did see the shower pass over around 5 a.m. that we were below freezing at that point, sitting at around 31 degrees.
You have control again.
Yes.
If you want to show stuff.
Sitting at 31 degrees, and so we could have some areas of ice. In terms of whether that's been verified, we do not know.
So send us your pictures if you have any ice on like lawn furniture that's outside, things like that. That's where it would be. But our temperatures have been above freezing now, maybe less than an hour, right? Has it been that long?
I don't know.
But Corpus is above freezing now, so if it's a little glaze of ice,
We're at 34 degrees.
It probably is melting.
Yeah.
At this point. So we won't have much time to verify if Corpus did or didn't see any ice.
But I think roadways should be fine.
There's no Drive Texas is not reporting any issues on the roads at this point in time. But with that being said, use caution. Always use caution when there is temperatures in the 30s and it has rained anywhere near the day you're driving.
Yes. Now, Carly, do you want to go back to looking at tech stock stuff, or?
I was just gonna show like stuff around the area. You can keep going. I think.
Well, we had kind of started talking about tomorrow morning, and then we got off on a little tangent.
I know if you were watching my live stream last night, I don't know if this is the same crowd or not. I talked about how I get distracted by things very easily. They're all important things. But I will start thinking about one thing and I'll forget what I was thinking about earlier. And so, yeah, I'm very scatterbrained, but it's all important information and I get excited about things very easily. And so when I see cool things on like Drive Texas or on the radar, I go to it and that's where my mind goes. Anyway, Hope, take it away.
Okay, so tomorrow morning, going to be cold. Temperatures in the 20s throughout the area. I put Corpus Christi at 25 degrees because our high-res model was coming in warmer by several degrees, and it makes me doubt a little bit. But I say that with the fact that we are, though, set up to have clear skies. That's going to help us decrease in temperature. The earth will lose heat faster, as well as the fact that we will be excuse me, we will still have very dry air. That's also going to help keep us on the cooler side. So a lot of more of our global models were predicting temperatures in the low 20s. I'm not trusting the high res right now. I went below it, but we could be even colder than that 25 degree there. So bottom line though is expect it to be in the 20s, low to mid 20s, and this is where we can see, or this is where we will see hard freezes when we're that low in the 20s, and we're going to be like that for a while too. So I have the graphic done that I went based off of just model data, looking at our high-res model and how long it had it above or below freezing. Again, I don't think it was going cold enough, and that potentially can hurt our timeline, because if we fall colder quicker, then we would be in that freezing category for a longer amount of time. But I want to bring this up saying that we are going to see, I think we're going to see temperatures below freezing for 10 plus hours in some locations. I'll pull that up in just a second here. But so tomorrow morning is the day that if you didn't drip your faucets this morning because we were just going to be in a light freeze, this is a pipe bursting type freeze that we are expecting for Monday. So with that being said, open your cabinet doors tonight. Make sure your heat is on, even if you're not home. If you have an overnight shift or something, make sure your heat is on, and drip your faucets. I've also been seeing people say make sure there's a little steady stream, like a small steady stream. Now I don't know the difference between dripping and steady stream, just putting that information out there. I recommend doing your research with that, but let me show that one graphic here that I did this morning talking about the different areas and how long they could potentially be below freezing. It's loading here. Alrighty, use this just for an idea. It's not going to be perfect. There's the little approximation symbols. I think that, again, the model I based it off of was freezing for a long time, but I don't think cold enough. So, with that being said, I think with us thinking we're going to get colder, we might fall below freezing faster, extending this timeline. But regardless, even if it's just this timeline, you can see it's very long for many places, whether you're out west, down south, towards the coast here in Corpus Christi, or up north. Up north, I think you've got the best shot at being below freezing for the longest, because you'll probably drop below freezing first tonight and then stay below freezing. I think when I looked at most of these, it was around mid-morning that they started to become above freezing. Beeville a little bit later, so maybe late morning, that you start to see temperatures above freezing. So very dangerous temperatures to be outside in. I know it's a work day for everybody, so make sure you dress appropriately when you're heading out for work tomorrow. And I know that because of this cold air, a lot of school districts have a delayed school for tomorrow morning, including CCISD, I believe. Yeah, I was just going to pull up, see if we have any more questions.
Here, I'll look at
Yeah.
road conditions while you look that up.
If anybody has any questions, weather-related questions, feel free to put them in the chat here, so that we can answer them while we are live.
Yeah, and we only answer weather-related questions, so if you ask anything else, it will not be answered. Right now, here's a look at, we're going to switch it back over. Here's a look at Drive Texas. Anywhere you see gray, so we have the traffic cameras on when we zoom in, but anywhere you see that little gray snowflake symbol, that means there's ice and rain on the roads. And we were just south of that line, which is what we expected to happen. But what we wanted to do was give you the worst case scenario, because when you're on the fringe, like you can see San Antonio has some accidents along I-10. This is well north of San Antonio, likely closer to Junction. Anywhere on the southern end where people think roads are safe when they might not be, that can almost be more dangerous than being in the middle of it, because obviously up in Dallas, like look at these views. Let's zoom in. So up in Dallas, look at this. They did, I think, have some snow mix in on the back end. A lot of that is sleet. Then it transitioned to snow up there. But look at that view, Winter Wonderland up that direction. Obviously, this is well north of us. There's a 18-wheeler making its way through the ice and snow, which they travel through the mountains a lot. I wonder if they have their ice tires on. But you see here a car going really slowly on a very icy road. We don't advise that. That is not what you want to do. But if you do have to get out when conditions are like this, you want to drive much, 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 much slower so you have time to react, because if you react quickly in icy situations, that's when you can quickly spin out of control, and that is what we want to avoid happening. Wow, look at this view. I think this is Lake Ray Hubbard. That is fascinating. I love winter scenes, and so this is one of my I'm a little distracted moments, but it's great to see the forecast kind of play out. As we get closer to Austin, we'll take a look now at those cameras, and then we'll go to Houston, because I think Houston and San Antonio is where we travel the most. So you can tell that road is icy. It's not quite there's not a lot of sleet that mixed in the Austin area. So it's not quite as obvious that it's icy, but I would say there's definitely was some freezing rain in that area. So, and you know how Austin is set up as well. All of Texas is set up with bridges and overpasses everywhere on the highways. So it is not great to travel in those conditions. This is I think it was I-10. No, Yeah, I-10 at State Highway 304, and then Victoria is the area closest to Corpus Christi that has ice reported on kind of their loop around town. Those cameras are not clicking on. And so again, this is when black ice can kind of be the most dangerous thing. And I say black ice, I'm not totally 100% on the exact definition, but it's essentially when it looks like water on the road, but it's not, it's ice. Freezing rain can look like water because especially when it's a thin layer, and that is the most dangerous kind. When you can tell the road is white, right? You're like, okay, this is going to be dangerous. I'm going to go slow. If you think it's just rain, then you may go faster than you should in the icy conditions. And that's, as I mentioned, that's the most dangerous situation. So when you're on the fringe, so you see Houston has these random reports throughout the city on the fringe of the freezing rain. And so that makes it very, very difficult to kind of know how conditions are. Look at that. So that is definitely a wet bridge. They did get below freezing overnight, so there is a chance that there is some ice on that bridge. You could see cars driving over it safely for now, but it's knee-jerk reactions that can get you in trouble the fastest. But anyway, that's a look in Houston, where freezing rain may have some ice still lingering on areas up that direction. For us, this is what everybody is waiting for. We have no reports of ice across the coastal bend. No reports of ice across the coastal bend on our roadways. TxDOT did put down brine, which lowers the freezing point of the water, and because when you add salt to it, it lowers the freezing point, and because it's not H2O anymore, there's salt mixed in, right? And so that lower freezing point means that the temperature has to get colder in order for the water to freeze, and that's why brine is a great tool to keep bridges and overpasses from freezing. And yes, again, as of right now, no issues on the roads. There is an accident between Bishop and Kingsville that does have one lane closed on the northbound side. I believe it's the right lane. But we're all good, according to Drive Texas and Corpus Christi. With that being said, I would still say use caution, especially on those bridges and overpasses, because we did have some pockets of some potentially freezing rain overnight based on the radar imagery we saw.
Alrighty, there's still a lot of people asking about Harbor Bridge. Can you cross it? As far as we know, it is open. I think somebody said that it is open, and they put brine down, so we haven't heard anything otherwise. TxDOT's not reporting it, so you should be good, but drive carefully just in case. I think if we don't have any other questions, that we're about to done. The main thing is the hard freeze going in tomorrow, expecting another one on Tuesday morning. So a couple rounds of really cold temperatures that could be damaging for our homes that we want to warn about.
And if you haven't wrapped your pipes outside yet, it was probably fine last night. It will not be fine tonight. So make sure everything is wrapped. Especially if our temperatures get above 40 and we get a little sun peeking through. That will be a nice time to do that this afternoon. Make sure all your pipes are wrapped outside or have the protection over them. Additionally, indoors, this is the night to drip your pipes, especially if you're in a pier and beam home, and open up all the cabinets inside to prevent those pipes from freezing. But it is definitely going to be an extra cold night. Good news is we have had worse freezes here. I need to look up the temperature data to kind of compare to past years, but I was looking at graphics that I built last year, or actually 2 years ago. I was looking at graphics that I built 2 years ago, so that would have been 2024, and Beeville was below freezing for almost 2 days. It was like 41 hours then. We are not expecting to stay below freezing all night. Or all day. It might be close, but the sun's going to be out. And so I think that gets us above freezing.
Yeah. I mean, I looked at, again, I was doing it quickly, and it was very close to model data. that particular model was showing people warming up by mid to late morning to be above freezing, expecting to see temperatures in the 40s, at least here in Corpus Christi tomorrow afternoon. Tuesday, even warmer.
Yeah.
So
we have lots of sunshine Tuesday. We probably start to see more of our southerly flow returning, and it gets warmer for the second half of the week. So this is really your only 2 nights of needing to protect your pipes and keep your plants inside. And it is a day or a night, especially where pets have to be brought indoors. There is a city ordinance, I believe, where,
below 32 degrees.
Yeah, and we will be there for certain tonight. We already were last night, so it's only going to be colder tonight.
Alrighty, we're just gonna put it back on a radar loop as we log off, that you can check it out to see exactly what's still out there in terms of rain. Not here in the coastal bend, but in terms of rain elsewhere in Texas. You can see here that it's all moving out.
The freezing rain threat is over. I'm calling it. It is over for South Texas. Houston still has a little bit, but they're starting to warm up, it looks like, and the rain is also moving out. But that Houston radar is not turned on. Just go to the satellite imagery real fast. I'm horrible at saying goodbye, so real fast, go to the, wait.
That's not the right one.
Go to SatRad, yeah. And then zoom out a little bit. So remember, there are reports of ice on the road in Victoria right now, so I still wouldn't drive to Houston, or use caution if you have to. Louisiana has the freezing rain kind of right there on the Louisiana East Texas border. There's still a little bit of freezing rain, wintry mix. And we also have some wraparound moisture bringing some snow showers there into West Texas that could impact like I-20. But otherwise that should stay further to the north. So we're not going to see that. Unfortunately, if you want to see snow, it's all going to stay north. And even the threat in Houston is starting to go way, way down at this point. But north of San Antonio, through San Antonio, north of San Antonio, roads are frozen. So, and their temperatures may not get above freezing today. So it's going to stay frozen in spots. So traveling north of I-10, it gets a lot more icy. And that will stay that way, I believe, for most of the day, if not the whole day.
All right, thank you for tuning in. We'll be back tonight at 5:30 p.m.